All righty. Well, welcome everyone to our live Q&A with Kaz Plum on building your strength and endurance for motorsport. So thanks, Kaz, for joining us this evening. And we've got lots to get through tonight. But I just wanted to start with Kaz and for all you chicks that are joining us, we'll feel free to ask questions as we go. Feel free to either unmute yourself and ask the questions or pop them in the chat if you're not able to unmute. But Kaz, you've been in the fitness industry for many, many years, and you've worked with, so non-motorsport athletes, and then, other recreational or professional athletes. From your experience over the years, is there a lot of difference between, non-motorsport training, strength and endurance to just, general fitness, strength and endurance training?
Motorsport, it's looking at the function of the athlete to the genre of the motorsport and keeping everything, functional and practical to what they're actually doing. And with that, there's just such a diverse field and a diverse range of skills needed. And, so many people say, but they just sit in the car. People have no idea, the actual fitness, strength, cognitive, skills that are actually needed for motorsport. And it's putting it all together. Whereas so many other, athletes I work with, for instance, like a bodybuilder, we're really just working with building the muscle. A lot of bodybuilders, for instance, there's no endurance. They don't have fitness. There's no endurance. Whereas with a motorsport athlete, everything has to be put together. They typically, obviously, depending on what activities they're doing, they have to have endurance. They have to have strength. They have to have cognitive or reactive training as well. And so it's covering the whole umbrella of it all. And whereas it's easy to get someone just fit, it's easy to get them. Sorry, can you turn that down? Sorry, Bev. So I've got someone in the background with noise going. Sorry. It's easy to get them fit. It's easy to just get someone strong or lifting heavy weights. With what we're doing with a motorsport athlete, they've got to be all of those. So you've got to cover all aspects and get that right. Because I can't send an athlete into drive a Bathurst 1000 without fitness. They've got to have endurance. They've got to have fitness. I can't, get one of my athletes like on a motocross bike, for instance, without upper body strength or without core strength. Then they need to have, if they're doing especially long races, like I work with some of them, they've got to have the fitness as well. So it's that whole combination coming together. And the difference, with just someone general going into the gym to lose a bit of weight or get a bit healthier, or just do an all over sort of program. When I'm looking at motorsport athletes, it's completely looking at, well, what functionality do they need for their particular activity, or in this case, obviously, motorsport. But then you also put into it where you've got to look so much at, which we'll talk further about, recovery, the lead up to the event, as well as their nutrition, their supplementation. That all goes into their training as well. And then, that whole, the whole umbrella of it all. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you currently work with supercars driver Zane Goddard and Dakar Rally rider Andrew Houlihan. So how different are their, very different motorsport genres? How different are their training regimes?
Yeah. So Andrew has pretty much had everything smashed up in his body.
Well, dealing with injuries, that would be huge.
So yeah, I mean, name a motocross or athlete that hasn't got something smashed up. So we have to work around all that, and so for him, we're doing a lot of sort of work around knee replacements and broken this, broken that. Everything's been broken. So I have to look at him as I can't put any weight on his back. He's had a broken neck. He's had a broken back. So we have to adapt the training to suit there. Whereas, you just wouldn't put a squat bar on someone's back like that. Whereas he needs a lot of leg strength. So we're working a lot with the leg strength, with core. Core's just so up there. With all of them, but to really be able to hold himself on that bike for so long, it's all coming through your core, it's all bracing through there. And then for him, he's so much support with that upper body, so much support with the shoulders. So a lot of strength work has to go into there. Yes, we've got a lot of endurance work with someone like that because he is an endurance rider. But this guy did a Dakar rally on a motorbike with a broken wrist. Day 3 and he had a broken wrist, and everything had to then support his body. So everything went out, everything. He had pins and needles and here, there, and every day. Where I'm like, it's because everything's compensating. You got things are pinching on nerves, an absolute mess. So with someone like that, it comes down, it's all the work in the lead up. We had to start a long way out, and he came to me, too late, which now we are working towards the next Dakar, and he understands the importance now of, it's right now we've got to rebuild up all his strength, and we're working around all these injuries. So we're assessing everything. He's currently just had a surgery on his ankle because they found out that he got hit by a rock in the ankle in the Dakar. 4 months he was battling all this pain in his ankle with it swelling up. It took something like 4 different opinions and back to his original knee surgeon that eventually on a scan found this break in his ankle. So now we're currently adapting all the training to, seated. We've had to do a lot of upper body training. We're doing core training. He's not allowed to do any impact or weight bearing yet. So that's, quite a whole complicated one because we're assessing injuries all the time, working around injuries, adapting the training to suit what's going on there. He's going to be back on the bike soon, and then we've got to start to just reassess how the body's coping with all of that. So an athlete like that, just incredible because you've just got so much you've got to work with, but then so much you've got to work around. And my belief with athletes like that, with working with injuries, is look at what he can do, not what he can't do. So that's what we had to work around. With Zane, again, it was assessment of the athlete. With Zane, we assessed he had a big imbalance between his strength and his leg. Strangely enough, his right leg, his braking leg, was weaker than his left. So the training we've done there has been all working on imbalances. And with him, I do a lot of work, things like single leg press. So, obviously a leg press, what are we, with brake pedal, that type of thing. So we're working again with function of the driver and what he needs. So I work a lot with individual leg training with him, like unilateral training. So we're keeping, working to get that imbalance in his legs correct, and looking at a lot of lunging, a lot of that type of work with him. Also, I do a lot of work with things like there was, some of you might have seen, I had up on my socials, it's quite funny. We do an exercise called Drive the Bus. And I often do it at the end of his training when he's really fatigued. And we I get him to do a wall sit. So he's completely fatigued anyway. He hates me for this. He's leaning back against, he's on a wall, but at a 90 degrees, like in a squat, and he's holding a 5 kg plate, and he just has to keep turning it for a minute like this. And I mean, everything's aching, everything's hurting. And again, obviously, we know what this is, is replicating. It's replicating, the driving in the car, but he's battling through right now mentally. He's battling through pain. So he's battling through, for instance, 10 laps to go at home, to home at Bathurst, for instance. Everything's uncomfortable. Keep going. Don't give in. So with something like that, we're working with so many different, things, functions there. We're working with cognitive training. We're working with strength, and we're working with endurance. And again, putting it into function for that particular athlete and what he needs. I do a bit of reaction training with him. This sounds great, dropping dumbbells, yes, to catch him. He's like, you serious? Like, we're doing that? And I'm like, yeah, get your feet underneath there, because if you drop one, you're in trouble. So I do a lot of, we done things like with tennis balls, you can get like the lights that you hit, that type of thing. I use like a light dumbbell, just hold it up and just drop it, or both, and he has to bring his arms out and catch them. We do that type of training as well. So it's just so diverse in covering different things. But again, it comes back to that assessment of the athlete. And that's the first thing, right from number one. I'm working with someone like, what are you doing? What is your genre? What is your activities? Is it endurance? Is it, like sprint? That type of thing, and then start to adapt the training to suit the athlete.
Great. We've had Steph join us. Hi, Steph. How are you going? You made it.
Hi, sorry I'm late. My sister's looking at buying a car. I had to go with her.
Nice. Nice. That sister power and support.
And Dad said, I want Stephanie to drive it, so.
Nice. So with your karting, is there anything, what do you find that where you need your strength with your karting?
I'd say a lot of it's upper arm strength. Like, you can go off a couple meetings and it's perfectly fine, but you get one, like you come to a state title, or you have just one weekend where they didn't get enough water into the track during the week, and the track takes on so much rubber, and you got to be on that line where all the rubber is. And your cart will not want to turn when it is on that line, and you really have to dig it in. But I've actually been helping my dad out at Speedway this past summer, and I might be getting into that for the next season now. So I'm kind of like starting to think ahead of like, well, I can sort of not do any training and be okay in a go-kart, but if I go and start Speedway and I haven't done any training or anything, like I've got neck and shoulder issues that are just going to go off like crazy as soon as that happens. So yeah, that's what I'm sort of thinking about.
Well, you have the second one for neck and shoulders tonight. So have you had, have we talked about this before? Have you had an injury?
I don't have an injury as such, but I've just got like chronic pain there. And my physio and I back right before Christmas finally worked out what it was. And it's a nerve that like where all like the nerves come out of your spine and then meet at like join together at like a plexus or something, and then travel down my arm. Like that nerve center sort of is so sensitive, and we don't know why, but we know how to fix it. And then I got lazy and stopped doing my exercises, and it's painful again. So that's like, I've actually got an appointment with him on the weekend, and it will be loosening it all up because it's really tight, and starting those exercises again. And once I can get it to not be painful and stay loose, it start to strengthen it. So
you looked at dry needling?
Yes, we do it until, well, we were doing it, and then one time the physio accidentally hit the nerve. That was very painful, so we've stopped doing it for a little while now. But I love it. It helps so much.
Yeah. So like a lot of that, and we briefly talked before we came online, about neck training for athletes in motorsport. And I mean, typically like your open wheelers, that type of motorsport genre is where that the neck becomes a real issue. Formula One drivers, it's basically number one. That is like number one for their training to address. But obviously, anyone like wearing helmets or anything like that, it's getting your body used to it. Because I think, Marisa, you were saying you hadn't worn a helmet for a year. So it's what the body's going to get used to. So if you haven't been doing that, you've got an event coming up, you've got to really think about it beforehand, because if you just go and put your helmet on after a year, it's going to be heavy, it's going to hurt, if you haven't got that extra strength in there. So assessing there with your strengths, like a lot of that is going to come right up from your core. It's going to come right from core strength. Be able to hold and brace yourself correctly through your core is so important. So core strength in all motorsport athletes, and posterior chain, which is, up your glutes, hamstrings. Again, that's all part of sitting in the seat. So, and your posture in that seat. So all of that is very, very important to address, and make sure you're training and make sure, a strong core. And I don't think I can name any motorsports that's not going to be, really essential, because if you haven't got a strong core, you're going to get back pain as well. So your back's going to take over. So abdominal lack of, when I work with people with back pain, back injuries, back issues, the first thing I tend to look at is what's your abdominal strength like? What's your core strength like? Because if your core is not strong enough, the back overcompensates and does too much work, and that's when you start to have back issues. So definitely start, look at your core strength, look at that, look at your posterior chain, and have a look at that, work your way up. So often something, in the neck, it's coming from a lot further down, because your traps up in here can, be very tight, so we can hold stress, but your traps connect right in down the lower back. So you've got upper traps, lower traps. So, things like that. It's looking at that, assessing that. I mean, that's things, if you've got an injury or something there, it's working with definitely, a sports physiotherapist, which I do. I work with Sarah a little bit too, who's been on and done a seminar online as well. And it's addressing that. And I like to work with real specialists in each field. Because it's all about getting the best for my athlete. And yes, I have a bit of experience in this, yes, a bit in this, a bit of that. But, whereas something that we look like an injury, it's bringing in someone like a sports physiotherapist to really assess it and see. And that's what I say, sometimes, we talk about neck, but it can be coming from somewhere completely different. Talked about originally carrying a handbag, you get anything starts twisting, turning, the body's out of alignment, the muscles are going to start to develop in an incorrect way. The body starts compensating, and that's where you have problems. That's where it just leads into a chain reaction. So looking at that upper body strength, you think, oh, my arms are tired, or I just got to do some bicep curls. No, you've got to assess it right through from your core, through, your right through your whole back, through your chest, through your shoulders, looking at everything through there. Because, if your shoulders are really weak, the arms are going to start to do too much work. You're going to be fatiguing them. So it becomes that whole chain reaction. I always look at my athletes too. Zane, for instance, after test day at QR, he was complaining, like, just in his shoulder blade, he's pulling up sore. I had to get the massage gun onto him. So then we had to look at the training and we assessed that. And we had to go, okay, well, why? What's going on here? And I've started to do a lot of rotational work through his shoulders, a lot of row work. So, high, wide rows, working with those to just really make sure everything is nice and strong and functioning correctly through there. And that's, Stephanie, for you to, just obviously great. You're working with your physio. And pinched nerves are not nice at all. nerve stuff, not nice one bit. But have a look at that. And once you can start strengthening everything else up to actually help and support that, it will benefit you for sure.
Great. And Tammy, do you have any particular areas you struggle with?
I also have neck problems, but mine's from an old go-karting injury. But mine comes more from, I think, and it may just be my age and the cycle that my body's in at the moment, but I find I get fatigued quite easily. And whether it's a hormonal thing or not, I'm not sure. But I do try to keep fluids up and, the electrolytes and things like that. But I just find that I really get tired really quickly now.
That, yes, obviously fitness, keeping your fitness up, keeping your strength up, that's going to be a big part of it for sure. You've got to make sure that you are, fit, because if you get into do an event and you're not, well, yeah, you're going to fatigue a lot more, obviously. But definitely, I don't know if you've ever seen any of my nutrition seminars or anything like that. So that's what I specialize in with female hormones as well. So I can make a massive difference there, doing assessments on nutrition and on supplementation. And that's all part of your training, because, fueling you correctly for your training, like, is your nutrition correct? If your nutrition isn't correct, you can't train correctly in the gym. You can't then take that further into getting ready for your event. You've got to think as well, if you're putting low grade fuel into your car, it's not going to perform. So you've got to think of your body as a, Ferrari engine, for instance. You're not going to turn up at the gas station and put that E10 crap in there and expect it to go really well. So definitely there, it's assessing, going after a little bit to the side of training now, but it's, looking at you as, yes, is it your fitness? Are you training hard enough? Are you doing enough endurance work, enough strength work? Is any of that lacking? Or then do we need to look at definitely supplementation, nutrition, and then we go on to things like, hormones, all that side of things for sure. Like if you're, having a lot of sugar, Rochelle, you're just going to crash. You're going to lose energy. Yes, you're going to have a high, you're going to have a low. So, as I say, as I mentioned, nutrition supplementation, that comes in hand with training. And then leading past that comes into recovery. And then your whole recovery field, and something else, Stephanie as well, or Marisa, both of you, is the likes of regular massage, after an event. And, I do that. My athletes are doing that. Andrew at the Dakar, for instance, they've got a physio there that's working on them all the time. Zane, we're working with masseuses with him, because again, that we're punishing the body in the gym. We're pushing them damn hard. Their events, coming into an event, coming out of an event, is so hard on the body. That's where things like you've got to look at massage. So things like that, just to, keeping that neck, nice and relaxed. So we're not, doing these relaxing, letting the body recovery after an event. After event recovery is nutrition, it's supplementation. It's how well you prepared, how fit were you before the event. That's going to help your recovery, but also things like massage is going to be really beneficial there as well. Yeah.
Tammy, do you find when you're racing a Historics, is that tougher physically than doing a super sprint?
Absolutely. You're driving a car with no power steering. You can't flick the aircon on. You're in a 1960s model car, so yeah, that they handle a lot different to a modern day vehicle. For instance, I'm running my MX-5 at the 6 hour, which I've done an enduro in the Sprite, so they're two totally different cars. You have to drive them totally different. You're using different muscles in your body. So yeah, but I find I probably let my work take over my training at the gym, and that's where I fall down, because I don't give myself enough time to go to the gym every day. I've got a membership. I'm going this week, it's a little too late because the event's next Sunday. So, it's making time for myself to be able to train to get results on the track.
And it is like it comes back to that preparation. And, I keep saying over and over again when I was doing the nutrition side, it's not just nutrition on race day. It's way back. It's the preparation that's gone on. When I'm talking my elite athletes, it's 6 months. Like I was talking, now, yes, with Andrew, we've got all these injuries and everything we've got to work around and the surgery at the moment for the ankle. But it's now we're thinking about January next year, Dakar. And what do we need to assess on his body and get him fit and strong and looking at the nutrition or everything to get him right. We're looking at that now. Zane, my supercar drivers, it's looking in the off season. That's when we work to get them healthy, get their body, strong. And I have to adapt the training as we go because, I'll do strength segments with him, but then in the week before a race, we taper it right off. So you don't do anything there. And again, when we go into the off season, when we had, came out of the race, that's what race time last year, that's when we did that real assessment and realized he had this big imbalance between, his two legs, and put him into a really intense strength program to build that up. Whereas a lot of the training we do coming in closer, it's more kind of a CrossFit HIIT training, so that we're working right across the whole field of strength, endurance, and the cognitive type of training coming in there. Yeah, so it changes, changes as you go. And Tammy, that's, you said it yourself. It's, back there we need to look at, we need to be focusing, ahead to, your next event that might be in, 6 months' time. It's right now I need to be looking at my fitness and everything, my health, and getting all that correct then. Yeah.
And Renee, was there anything specific you were looking to have a chat about tonight?
No, not really. Just taking on board what others have got, because it's very similar. I know, you're sitting down in a car and you're thinking that, all you do is sit down all day, but it's much more than that. It's, Kaz mentioned last time with her nutrition as well that it starts well and truly before, which is what I find hydrating is my biggest thing. So 3 days out, I'm having Hydrolyte and I increase my fluid, like I really concentrate on my fluid intake. But for one thing that I suffer with is sciatic nerve. So that's ever since I had a cesarean with my daughter 10 years ago. So it's just combating around that. And setup is really key for where I sit. You want to be close to the steering wheel, but there's also the fear of the burning sensation and the pain if I'm too close to a steering wheel. So it's really hard with mine at the moment. My seat is fixed. It's not on rails. So it's just trying to work around, that setup. And one thing I do is after going to the track, I go and get row tie done. And basically, he's the only guy that's been able to touch anywhere on my back to relieve that pain through the sciatic nerve.
What is it?
Yeah. Row tie. It's just about relieving pressure points. Is that how you could say it, Kaz? Do you know much about it?
Not a lot, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know obviously a wee bit about different alternative techniques.
Yeah. It's all about the core. Like I know you mentioned about the core. So you can't lay there with your fingers crossed over your stomach, because that takes you're not balanced. So it's all about pressure points.
Yeah. And
just it's like a bit like acupuncture, but they press it and wiggle it around for about a minute, and there's so much pain, but after about 20 or so seconds it just releases. And I found.
Sorry, have you tried a pressure point ball yourself? Getting on a pressure point, or just even a tennis ball. So it's your piriformis is where side it comes from, which is in your glute. As you probably know.
Yeah, he couldn't even touch my glutes because of how bad I was. We had to work to a point. And then again, like Tammy, you forget about yourself and you just put it to the side. And the real benefit is ongoing. It's not just sporadic when you feel like it. That's the most benefit is when you continue to do it. And I just haven't continued to do it. And I feel it, I suffer it. And I go there and he goes, what have you been doing?
Yeah. Oh, I feel for you. Well, some might know my story, some might not. I had a hip replacement just over a year ago. I was at the point I couldn't walk. I had femoral nerve pain. I had sciatic nerve pain all going at the same time. There's times when I just have to pull over in the car and jump out in screaming pain. And I know how nasty it is. It's just horrid. I've lied on the ground in my apartment with my legs up the wall trying to relieve it at times. I know. So I feel for you there. And often, like I've worked, with a lot of clients with it, it's finding the right practitioner. For that. I mean, yes, training for sure. So strengthening of your core, strengthening, of your postural chain. It's often coming down through your iliac crest, which just up the side, going through there. It's assessing the whole body as to why. And it's not coming from your hamstring and that, which is where you feel it, or down the back of your leg. As I say, it's typically from your piriformis, which is just in your glute at the base of your spine. And it's a matter of trying different practitioners, and there's there's good and bad. Like I've come across terrible chiros. I've got an amazing chiro, and he will cure it like that.
Wow.
If you were here, I'd tell you the right people to go to. And I've got clients that have had things like this, and they've gone, to a chiro that's just been useless. They wasted their time. And I said, no, you've got to start looking for others. There's someone out. There's, find a good one. And a good remedial masseuse is, again, there's terrible ones and there's good ones. A good remedial masseuse, pressure point straight in, that pressure point release, can really help there as well. It can be from, just normally tight muscles, and then, they're tight, and through that piriformis, it hits the nerve, and puts that pressure on the nerve. Stretching every day. So sitting down like on a seat and putting the side that's bad, putting that knee up over your other knee, and then just pushing the knee down and slightly leaning forward. Again, it's into that glute, it's stretching it out. So I would do that I'd be doing, that stretch every day, to try and loosen up through that glute, and keep that loose. And then, seat position in your car. Again, I work with drivers that have issues with that. I've got quite a funny picture actually of Jason Gumersil. And after the Super 2, Super 3 races at Bathurst, his partner comes up to me, oh, would you mind smashing my husband's partner's glute? And I'm like, ass. I think it was ass. I'm like, what? So, he was having all this hip pain, but it came from tight glutes. So, and it was actually coming from the other side. The side he was the sorest on, he thought he was. When I put the massage gun on the other side, I'm actually sore over there. And he was in so much pain in his back when he got out that car. He was really struggling with it. So again, it's assessing where is this coming from, and then I talked to him about getting a assessment. Is his spine out? What's going on? Have a good chiro assessment with a sports chiro, looking into that. He's been really good since. So things like that. A whole assessment on the body, but you can go back. You can say, well, does that come from core strength? Is he not correct position in the car? Where is it coming from? Again, that the abdominals support the back. It's a whole, it's that whole chain reaction that we can get there as well.
Absolutely.
And hi, Stacey. How you going? I don't know if you're in a position to unmute.
Yep, there we go. Sorry.
Hello. How you going?
Hey, I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Good, thanks. Was there anything specific you wanted to have a chat about tonight?
No, sorry, I was a bit late putting the kids to bed, but I'm glad that I caught all of that last bit, like about the glutes and hamstrings. I suffer from like ongoing issues from an injury I've got from outside of motorsport, but when I race, like it aggravates it. So some of those things I already do and some I don't. So it's really good to, like, just from a different perspective, from a different like professional, for some new things to try, which is good for me. So
what are you racing, Stacey?
Autocross is what I race.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, again, going back, I've had good success with dry needling.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There's bad dry needling people and good dry needling people.
Yeah.
It's so hard, if you were here, I would say, you go to this person, that person, don't go to this one, because of my own experience, unfortunately, often the hard way. I've had a physio that gave me a dead leg. I sat in my car and cried because I couldn't drive home. This is when I was battling my hip and had all the sciatic pain and everything, bloody pain. And the same one gave me a dead arm for 3 days with dry needling. Not getting it right. And the next time I told him, I said, no needles. You're not putting those damn things in me. Yet I've worked with another very good remedial masseuse that actually, he teaches dry needling at the school of dry needling, I don't know, school of massage, put it there, very important, knows what he's doing. And, I've had amazing results where, my traps were, I've had a few instances where I've been really, really, really tight through my traps, and my normal remedial masseuse, she couldn't release them off. So I went and got the needling and a bit of cupping on them, and, it worked a treat by this guy that I know. He knows his stuff. He's really good. So unfortunately, it's so much a matter of finding the right practitioner. Like I said, there's masseuses and there's masseuses. There's chiropractors and chiropractors. It's a matter of finding, a good one. And look, in all my sporting career, working again, talking about my own instance, but working with a chiro, I had a chiro that told me to stop all unilateral training, and my situation at that point when I did just went downhill so quickly and got remarkably worse. And it was the worst thing I could have ever done. And that was a big turning point in my life that restricted me a lot when, he told me, don't do these, don't do your unilateral training. And worst thing I could have ever done is listen to that. So it's a hard one, when you're working with professionals, to find the good ones, and then I remember walking in, I still remember to this day, the chiro that's just, he saved my life. It was amazing. And, he got me through my day-to-day activities. And I walked in the door and I said, right, if you're going to tell me to stop training and tell me to stop doing what I'm doing, I said, I'm walking straight out that door now. And, oh, no, we'll work around that. And no, you can go and, train this afternoon after I've worked with you. That's fine. And that's what you need. You need someone that is, just understands what we do, what you do, that just, in a lot of cases, stopping isn't an option. We need to work around it. And that's what we're doing, with training, with injuries, with restrictions, with everything. Coming back to Andrew Houlihan, I can't tell him, he's not going to stop. I know the sort of person he is. This guy's nuts. Like, who does the Dakar Rally? Like, anyone's nuts who does the Dakar Rally. And who does the Dakar Rally 3 days in with a broken wrist? I mean, that's even more insane. So we're not dealing with a normal person here. So you can't tell someone like that to stop training or stop doing this. Let's work around it. How do we get the right people in to support you, the right professionals in to help? And all expertise coming together for the best of that athlete, and you know, keep them going, keep you going. You know, that you know, like Renee, your other options, don't do it. Don't get in the car. Don't drive. Don't, you know, let that sciatica take control of your life. Well, no. You know, so I'm so proud of all you guys, like, you know, saying, you know, Steph, Tammy, you've all got things that have been going on there, but we're looking for ways around it. We're not looking for an excuse. We're looking for a solution. And the biggest thing I can say to you, you know, I know we're getting a little bit away, you know, not talking about specifically training, but the biggest thing I can say is just don't take no for an answer, and find the right practitioners. Find the ones that are proactive and will work with you, because there is ways around everything and ways to actually, you know, solve these issues and make things, you know, more comfortable in these situations. You know, that sciatica can be fixed. It's just a matter of just getting that right person and just pinpointing it correctly.
And
And
you mentioned earlier too, to focus on what you can do, or you focus with your focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. Is that how we should approach it if we've got an injury?
Yeah. You know, again, so I'm referring back to my clients, I can, you know, talk about my own experiences. And it's like Andrew, you know, okay, well, let's, you know, sit down and do your training. We can still do upper body. We can still do core training. Just because you can't do any impact or weight bearing, like today we're talking, you said, oh, my surgeon just wants me doing walking at the moment, you know, nothing else like with any impact. And I'm like, well, we've got a cross trainer, we got your cross trainer, you know, get on that, have a go with that, because there's no impact there. So it's looking at it logically, breaking it down. There's no reason that using that cross trainer is any different to walking, because there's no impact. You know, yeah, anyone can sit down. You know, we're athletes. Athletes are different. You know, general public can sit down and go, oh no, well, you know, I can't go racing because, you know, I've got sciatica, or you know, Steph is on, no, you know, my neck hurts, so I can't do this. It's looking at, well, how do we work around this, and what can we do? You know, I mean, Renee, you know, you can't go and do deadlifts or anything like that in the gym. That would just be ludicrous. But it's a matter of, yeah, well, what, you know, how do we assess this? What can we do to work around it? Oh, I can do leg extensions. That works fine. Oh, you know, gentle leg press. Oh, yeah, that stretches it out quite nice. So, you know, just say working around everything. You know, when we come to injuries, and, you know, being assessed or working with a physio or doing rehab, again, it's just gently building it up and working around these things. Yeah. You know, the neck, what are we going to look at this with our neck? It's not only strengthening the neck, but it's like we've talked about, looking at all these supporting muscles and starting from there, getting all that strengthened up to support the connecting muscles as well.
Do you want me to show those? Did you want to talk about that now? Do you want me to just bring those photos up?
Yeah. So I did a little couple just today, because we've been talking about neck strength. I mean, typically, you know, neck strength is more involved with people in open wheelers. But my eyes were shut, and of course we're masks in the gym at the moment, so it's never a good look. But yeah, you're stretching there, just sitting there, arm by the side, nice big stretch like that. The important thing here is to try and keep your shoulders level, and your other arm is actually down the side. So stretching that way, stretching the other side, down, so pulling your head down, and then a nice big stretch back. So that's predominantly going to be, you know, a good neck stretch. The other picture we have is how to strengthen up your neck.
I've never seen this exercise done before.
So basically, like, you know, we're like you would a hip thruster or a reverse plank. I could have actually came a little bit further forward. So basically just my shoulders are now off the bench, or the box I'm using there. And it's actually my head, a little bit of core strength there too. My head is now holding me up. So that's for a general neck strength exercise. that's going to be a really good one. Obviously, watching, with injuries, someone with, injuries, you're not going to go straight into something like that. From there, you can actually put a bit of weight onto your core as well. So you've got to hold yourself up. So keeping glutes, pelvis up. And as I say, you can just wiggle a little bit further forward so that the neck, it is your head that's on that bench. Some specific sports trainers, motorsport trainers, there is a few gyms set up specifically for motorsport, and you may have seen some where there is like a sort of harness that goes right over your head, and then that hooks into a cable, a cable machine, a normal cable station in a gym, and they work, with the resistance with that, with resisting. You can use like you would like an ankle strap for doing booty training. You can just put a strap around. It's not that successful, but it can be done. Just that resistance, against it. So the more you sort of walk out from the machine, it's pulling you that way. The idea is to keep your head upright. So that's more advanced. And as I say, I know F1 or a lot more advanced open wheelers, they will work with, that type of equipment as well. But this is a great one, just for some, people like yourselves. It's a great one for strengthening up that neck. Yeah.
So how long would you start in that position for? Like, how long would you hold it for to start with?
It's all going to be individual, really, as to how you cope. So ideally, you'd want to look at someone completely new to anything like that. You'd want to look at doing, say, 4 lots of 30 seconds, and then definitely building up, 45 seconds up to a minute, even longer. But that's where you can just wiggle out a little bit further. So rather than, it was sort of supporting me a little bit through there, just so that I'm a little bit further up there. But again, being careful because of the fact, you've got core strength involved as well. You've still got to, be reasonably strong through the core and keeping your pelvis up so that we're sort of in that 90 degrees where you can start to put a bit too much, strain on there. Yeah, but as I say, adding more intensity, you can get a weight plate and just put across, sort of across your midsection. So you've just got to keep that up. You've got a little bit more resistance going on there too. Yeah.
So this is sort of just a bit off topic, but what you're saying about the head and neck exercises and hooking it up to a cable machine, there's a girl who races sprint cars in the US called McKenna Hassey. I think so, yeah. But she's also really interested she competed in American Ninja Warrior and that type of thing. And I've seen on one of her Instagram stories at the gym she works at, which I think is in Knoxville, Iowa, which is like the home of Speedway for the entire world. So they have a gym there that's really good for motorsports drivers, and they actually have this set up. It looks like a weight plate, but it kind of actually sits on your head, and you have to just turn your head like side to side and strengthen your neck up that way with like weight literally on top of your head.
Yeah, I've been in a motorsport specific gym that they've got one like that. The 2 cables come out here. And you got to, you're right. You got to do the, So it's so there is say specifics like that out there, but something like that, that you stretch, that's the one. So you're actually pulling from here, but try to have those shoulders quite level. So you really just gently just glide, gliding that down. You'll feel the stretch down through there. Both sides, and then just down and back. So good for warm-ups, good for coming off the track as well. If you're having problems, definitely I would be suggesting to look at things like I've got Theragun, which I take to the track to use on my clients. So just getting that in there as well, they're good to have. Or massage. If it's a problem that you are having, definitely get on top of find a good remedial masseuse and keep on top of it with massage as well. It is important with things like that.
In terms of finding a good gym or trainer, is there anything you recommend looking for? Because I have a membership to the cheapest gym in Perth, which is great because it's 24 hours, but I never go to it because it's it's usually like 2 blocks away from my house, and I never go to it. But I've always I signed up to it and said, yes, I'll go, but I probably would be better if I had a trainer and it was scheduled that you had to go at certain times during the week. But is there anything that you sort of recommend looking for in terms of finding good trainers or good gyms?
Yeah, it's only a 5-hour flight to the Gold Coast.
Yeah, until you guys have an outbreak and then our border gets shut off and we're not allowed to travel.
We're stuck on the Gold Coast. Hey, you got the best trainer here. So I mean, there's a lot of trainers out there that they've just come out of Fitness Australia or whatever, and they've done an 8-week course, and so experience for sure is what you've got to look at. Look at the diversity, but look at someone like I work with just general population. A lovely couple today, they don't do any gym training or anything. I've got them walking, I've got their nutrition happening, they're losing all this weight, they're so happy. But the first thing that these people emailed me is like, oh, do you only work with bodybuilders and professional athletes, or do you work with just people like us? And it's like, yeah, like I work with top elite athletes, and I have some of the top in Australia that I coach in sporting, bodybuilding, fitness, all of that. But I work with just somebody that walks in off the street wanting to lose a bit of weight.
Yeah.
So look for somebody that is experienced above what you are thinking. Don't ever go in there. Don't just think, I just want a general trainer off the floor. Yeah. Find someone that has worked with top sporting athletes.
Okay.
And never think that you're, but I'm not that level. That's where you've got to get to somebody who's got the experience to work around, look at things, assess things, that they've done their time in the industry. Of course, there's like in any sport, in any work, in anything, there's always going to be idiots out there. But do your research. So ask a lot of questions. Put it out there. I don't if you know of anyone else in motorsport I start asking them, have you worked with a trainer? I'm looking for a personal trainer. Is there anyone you can recommend? Really put it out there and do your research.
Yeah.
Have a look at that, and sometimes get away from ego trainers. So a lot of these ones in big gyms that it's just all about ego.
Yeah.
Is definitely one to avoid. Someone that actually genuinely cares about you and cares about what you do. So strength and conditioning coach, that's what I am. You don't want someone that's just runs a few classes at a little gym sort of thing. You want somebody with that extra experience that you can really bring in and utilize.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Does that sort of make sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. And
you do remote programs too, don't you, Kaz? You don't have to do it face to face, do you?
Correct. So I mean, I can do training programs. I do nutrition supplementation training programs. I do all that. I've got clients, all over the place. I coach Matt Charter, who's a Super 2 driver. He's in Albury. I do all that online with him. I send him training plans, nutrition plans, and then I do all his event planning. For race day. And all that. I can definitely do anything online. But obviously, having somebody there to check your technique and like you said, to commit to the sessions.
Yeah.
That that I have to be at the gym at this time, and this time. These are my weekly training sessions. They go in my diary. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
Look, I've got a lot of clients that I do training programs for, but they still work with a PT at their own gym to have someone check their form. The technique, and that's so important for somebody who's new in a gym. It's intimidating. You go there oh God, how does that work? Like, well, what is that machine? Like, I don't want to be a freaking idiot getting on it wrong or.
I always push myself too hard because like I've had this pain for so long. I just work, like I just push through it. So I'm like, I can lift, I think my physio was like, okay, you're only allowed to lift a kilo. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like I lift 20 kilo fuel churns in one hand. Like that's what I do. Like you're telling me to lift a kilo? Like, and yeah, I wasn't happy about it.
Just have a little thing, like, I can't comment there because, obviously I can't sort of assist you with that. I don't know your physio, I don't want to be disrespectful, but just make sure, it is the right physio for you. Sometimes you've got to look outside that box.
Yeah,
and
no, he's actually quite good where he'll like, if I go and I said like, you told me to lift a kilo, but it was too easy and I pushed it to 3 kilos and it was still fine. He's like, cool, next week we're doing 5. Like he sort of sets it as like, set the bar as low as possible, lets me push it and then goes from there sort of.
And look, it's such a fine line, and that's the trouble. It's such a fine line between doing an injury or getting amazing results.
Yeah.
So, it is. It really is. And, for me, it's a scary thing as such when you're working with a top professional athlete and you know that that's their career. And, I'm pushing them like, back to Zane, the poor guy. I feel sorry for half the time how hard I work him. But, he's got to be, you got to push it. And, I'm watching his legs just shake, as he's trying to get this leg press up. And I know you've got them at their maximum, but that's where they've got to work. And that there's a fine line between that maximum and getting the results and an injury or something going wrong.
Yeah.
And when you've got got something predisposed that you're working around, the last thing, as somebody, a professional, or that a correct professional in their right mind wants to do is obviously aggravate it and make it worse. And that's what I did. We had with Zane, we had a knee, something went on with his knee, and after a couple of weeks, he did it running into the water, twisted it in the sand, nothing to do with me at all. And after a couple of weeks, I'm like, right, this has gone on too long. It's not right. We need to bring a specialist in. So I brought in Sarah, who works, through Race Chick. She's done a seminar as well. She's motorsport specific. So I knew that. I know she knows the functionality of my driver, and she's not going to tell him to rest it because that wasn't an option. We need to figure out what the hell's going on and get this fixed quick.
Yeah.
And so I brought Sarah in and we assessed it. She went through, then she advised me what exercises she wanted for the rehab. So then I worked through that with him, and then I started to bring more stuff in, and and then boom, before we knew it, we were back to full training. But such a worry for me as a trainer. There's a fine line between mollycoddling this person and not getting results or not moving them further forward or doing an injury. So that's again working with a professional. And going back to you saying about selecting a trainer, you want someone that is going to care about you as an athlete and understand that too, that isn't just oh no, you'll be right, just load her up and lift it, you'll be fine. You want someone who is very on to technique and experienced, because it is that fine line. It really is.
Yeah.
So then some core strength. So for karting, Kaz, what would you recommend? So, I mean, obviously core strength, and then upper arm strength or arm strength for karters.
So it depends where the person's at. Okay. Because again, do they have any core strength or not? So entry level core strength is going to be planking is great. Side planks, and Renee, side planks are another good one for you actually. But yeah, side planks, just working that core, then moving into things like abdominal crunching, reverse crunches, so like on a captain's or Romanian chair is a favourite of mine, or a hanging leg raise. So a lot of that type of training. Then lower abdominal work, which reverse crunches, that type of thing. Into more advanced, you start going into your weighted crunches, so weighted cable crunches, where you've got the cable around your neck, you're crunching it down, kneeling on the ground, getting weight onto it. Med ball work, Russian twists. I do a lot of work with Russian twists with my motorsport athletes. Mountain climbers, and they're a good, like, in with HIIT training and cardio as well. So you're getting the double crossover. So yeah, there's so much stuff. So you've got your straight core, then you've got your side or oblique training. So another one there for your obliques is holding a weighted plate. It's called teapots. Holding like a 20 kg plate, just with your hand here and just crunching down. So and again, well, that goes back to, like bodybuilders, fitness models, we don't do anything for any obliques because we don't want to thicken that area. Whereas motorsport, back to our very first question, motorsport, we need the whole core strong. So a lot of oblique work as well is very, very important for the whole core. So upper body arm, so there it's going to come right through from strengthening the shoulders, so side lat raises, overhead presses, and a lot of front delt work. So front raises, you can do those with cables, dumbbells, barbells, chest work, but then also being very aware of not overtraining the chest and ignoring the back. So you come to the point, rear delt work. I do a lot of rotational work with my drivers. So with like a cable and a rope, and so on the cable, just pulling it back and getting a rotation into those shoulders as well. So a lot of that type of work. Then you go into your basic arm work of things like tricep kickbacks, tricep push downs, your general just bicep curls. But shoulder work, back work, chest work is going to strengthen up your arms as well. So that's, typically, like I said, that's going to be where a lot of that comes from. And then, a big favourite of mine, as I did mention earlier, is an exercise called Drive the Bus, where you're holding a plate out front, and you're just holding it there and just turning them. We'll do that for like a minute, or do sort of, starting off 15, 20 rotations. And another big one that I do use with Zane again and motorsport athletes is battle ropes. So the battle ropes are great to get on. That's, it's giving you your endurance, it's giving you your strength, core strength, back strength. Great. They are fantastic to use. I utilize those in HIIT training sessions. And they're very, very good. Very good. Yeah.
Excellent. For some reason, I'm very aware of my neck and shoulders tonight. After all this chat.
Battle ropes.
For some reason, it's now starting to hurt. No.
I'm envisaging that I will see a picture of you having a massage rather than on the battle ropes tomorrow.
Yeah.
You are sitting taller, Rochelle. That posture.
The posture. Oh, too funny.
It's such a huge thing. It's like you're in the, like this, so many of us, people at desk jobs, office jobs, nursing, hairdressers, everything like that. And that's, you then say you got the problem, you're sitting in the car, you've got to assess it, and that's what we're doing all the time. When I work with, back to Zane, because he's very hands-on with me, the fact I'm, really working with him all the time is, he's tight in his chest. And so we've got to watch that. So, and he's tight there because he loves training chest because he's a bloody boy and they love training chest. B, it comes down to the fact that, the driving that like this. So again, that's what you're doing. C, a lack of the back stuff. So with him, when I work with him in the gym, I know he's trained his chest, and I know I don't need to put chest training in there. We've got predominant working with the legs because we've got an imbalance and we're trying to strengthen up that right hand side for him. So we do that, and I put in some rotational work for the shoulders, and I put in a lot of that back sort of, high rowing, wide high rows, and then, chucking at the end, we're going to do like things like battle ropes and, and the drive the bus for endurance and functionality. But we're not, in a predominant session, I break it down where we do one session is just strength training, and it's working on that imbalance in his legs, and a little bit of strength through this, getting the shoulders back and through there. Then like Saturday I'm training and we're a week out, so it'll be a bit more HIIT training, high intensity interval training, a little bit lighter but more intensity with that bit more endurance type of training in there.
Awesome. Well, that has been amazing. Thank you. So I'll just check to see if anyone's got some more questions before we head off. Marissa, how was all that, the talk about the neck strengthening and stretching for you? Did you have any more questions around that?
No, very good. I am feeling like, well, I need to book in my remedial massage again.
We're all going like this, aren't we? We're all.
I know it's
Also, I'm sitting here.
I was sitting here doing my neck stretches.
I think I'd be like sponsored by a massage therapist or something. But look, find a good one. But worst case scenario, just keep on top of it. Just go to one of the ones in your shopping centre and just get that 20-minute neck and shoulder massage. If worst case scenario, I mean, yes, a good remedial masseuse is absolutely priceless. They really are. But again, someone's got to try a few different ones to get that right one. And it's like with so many things in these different professions, like I just said, stuff, don't just get the first one you can find. Do your research.
Yeah.
And Steph, do you know others that are like you must have, obviously you've got a lot of other friends and people you're involved in motorsport, that some of them would have personal trainers?
I know that Laura Burns does, so she's been in some of these sessions as well. I don't know, there's another girl who runs the same speedway or sprint car series as my dad, and I think she is a gym trainer, or she's really interested in fitness as well, but I'm pretty sure she's all the way up in the northern suburbs, which is like a 45-minute drive away. And I'm not entirely sure what type of fitness that she does. I just see lots of selfies and stuff in the gym. But I think I have a physio appointment with my guy on Saturday. So I'd actually I might talk to him and see if there's anyone he recommends, because then I know that he's probably got some kind of history with them in talking with them as well. So that if I'm going to my physio and going to my trainer, I know that like my trainer is going to listen to what my physio is saying and vice versa, sort of.
Just keep asking, and find the right one for you, because some you'll click with, some you won't, and just do your research. Don't get a fitness model that is on Instagram taking 1,000 selfies of her butt. Or somebody that's going to do you a $50 an hour deal because they're just out of fitness college and they're looking to take someone on. They're going to spend your whole session updating their social medias, watching on the phone while you keep going. I mean, I know I only look 21 and I look really young, but get someone that's older and experienced like me, that's been around for many years. And just do your research there, because look, you're putting your life in their hands. Like, if they don't know what they're doing, you get some goose that is just about ego training. It can do damage.
Yeah.
And find someone that's sports specific.
Yeah.
That trains athletes.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, cool.
And Stacey, do you have any further questions or any more questions for Kaz?
Kaz, I'd just like to know who your dry needler is on the Gold Coast, because I'm just out of Toowoomba, so I was really excited to hear you're not that far from me.
So what was it you were asking about though?
I'm really keen to try dry needling. Is there someone nearby to you that you would recommend?
Yeah, so I use a guy at Palm Beach. He works. The guy, he's actually he's retired because he actually fell over out running and smashed his shoulder, so he can't work full time now. But he teaches the dry needling, and will take on select clients and that through me through referral. So add me. Are you on my social media?
I've just followed you on Insta and had like a solid look through your website while I've been listening to you, actually.
Awesome. I'll send you his details. So he's at Palm Beach. Tim Cooper, he works from home, and this guy's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So it's any excuse to come down to the Gold Coast, right?
Oh, I'm over there next weekend for a dance comp. So, I'll have to see if you're around at your gym and call in and say hello.
I will be in Tasmania at Supercars with Zane next week.
Oh, yes, that does coincide now, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because they moved it because of the COVID. I was meant to be there next week as coming, and they moved it. But I'd love to catch up for sure. I'd love to catch up. So if you're down, let's hook up and catch up for coffee. It's always great to catch up with others in motorsport and that too. And I'm happy to help out with anything. And as I say, I've got the contacts here. I can put you in touch with the right people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
We've got to persuade Steph that she's got to jump on a plane.
See, I used to live in Queensland, but I lived up north in Cairns. I've lived everywhere. I haven't quite got to the Gold Coast yet.
Yeah, we couldn't be any further away, but
yeah, I know.
I should be over Supercars. Where I think we're racing there. It's actually near the end of the year, so
I know it's all different this year. Normally they're here about like in May generally, but yeah. Well, hopefully if everything goes well for me during the year, by the end of the year I'll be doing speedway and stuff, so it might be worth it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Excellent. Renee, how about you? Any other questions?
No, I'm all good. Thank you for your guidance so far, Kaz. It's been really good.
No worries. And look, again, just add me on socials. Kaz Plum at Kaz Plum on Instagram. And if there's anything I can help further with, with that sciatica, it's just trial and error, and the correct stretching. Keep training. Don't give up, because one day you're just going to wake up and that bug is going to be gone.
Yeah.
Because I know how debilitating it is. I've been there. I've done that through that, and it's not fun.
Excellent. How about Tammy? Any other questions for you?
Just one thing. So if I go to the gym, how much cardio and how much weight training would you say is a good medium for someone who might be going at it on their own without a PT?
Good.
Again, it's sort of a matter of breaking it down into, what are you doing? What is your lifestyle? What are you trying to achieve? It's more looking at the overall picture. Strength training, definitely, 3 to 4 times a week. It's ideally 5, sort of 5 times. Your strength training especially for us females, is just so beneficial. Cardio again depends on your goals. So I break it down a lot. I do, if are you looking at fitness? Are you looking at weight loss? You know, the whole combination of what are we wanting to achieve? But you know, some good walks. So getting out, you know, an hour's walk. You don't want to do more than that because the body starts stressing out. Any training you do, you should not be doing more than an hour. Because it increases cortisol, which is our stress hormone, and that's not good for us either. So, you know, get out sort of 45 minutes to an hour for a good walk. You know, get up some hills, get up some stairs. But one of my favorites for training is HIIT training. So 30 to 45 minutes, you know, of high intensity with your rest, is like I talked about on the battle ropes and, you know, things like that. That's going to work so well. Things like I use hill sprints, stair sprints, you know, 15, 20 minutes, hard out of, you know, sprint up, walk down, sprint up, walk down, short, sharp and to the point, and it damn well works very, very well. So things like that, you know, that's great for motorsport athletes, your HIIT training and your stair sprints. And I mean, not for Renee, because with her problem, definitely not. Again, you know, assess the athlete. We've got to assess the athlete. And, you know, I'm happy, you know, to talk further, you know, to you about that again, you know, privately, where we can sort of look at your goals and help there. Because, yeah, everyone's individual. With that, but you know, yeah, it depends, you know, how serious you are. You know, you just want to improve a little bit. Well, obviously, one walk and one gym session a week is better than none. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. And Steph, any other questions from yourself?
I'm all good. I'm all covered. I was actually just queued up to watch the nutrition one from last year, so I'll probably go and watch that after dinner now.
So,
I finished studying at the end of last year, and as sort of the end of just before, like in the middle of the semester, I started actually getting a lot of my life sorted because I'd been putting it off for 5 years. So yeah, back at the physio, and I'd sort of started at the start of that semester because I'd been trying to deal with the pain and then got sick of it never getting better, and been to different physios, and actually came a full circle back to the first guy. Said, it's been a while, I've tried out different things, nothing's better. But when you and I were working, that sort of seemed to be the only time we made much progress. And so he was like, right, we never found out what was caused it. So straight out MRI, ruled out any actual injury to anything. And then going through all the stretches that we'd done last time and adding new ones, seemed to be getting better. So started going to the gym, and it just blew up, like so much pain. It is nerve, but it feels like all the muscles down my spine are like tearing apart. But I was like, that's normal. Like, I just block it out. And then we got right up to the end of the semester, and I was finishing my thesis, and I was so tired, and I wasn't feeling pain anymore. It was just pins and needles. And he was like, do you ever get pins and needles? And I was like, oh, only when I'm tired. And he's like, that's what I needed to know like 6 months ago. And that, like, straight out, he was like, okay, if you're getting pins and needles, try this exercise. All right, now tell me, is it better? And I was like, yeah. And he went, that's what the problem is. And so we've got that fixed. And then my thing, I was sort of getting into nutrition stuff because I found out I had a pretty bad iron levels. So we sort of started, my doctor and I were trying to fix that. And then I got sidetracked. I now sit at a desk 7 hours of the day, and I sit in one position, and my shoulder is going off, and I'm always tired. And so my thing is now, like, I know it's winter, and normally winter is when I sort of get lazy and stop doing it. And I'm trying to flip it this year and make it that winter is we get everything together again. So
yeah. And, you know, I mean, have you looked at like a postural alignment, like a good chiro?
I haven't, but what you're saying about core is like, that sort of makes sense to me, because my problem is like, I'm doing it now, like I'm sitting forwards like this constantly, and I have to actually sit with my head back and my shoulders down.
And look at the height, things like the height of your seat and your laptop. Because I was getting something going on in my chaps, and I trying to think, I was too low. I think I was too low. What did I do? I brought myself up, but yeah, can't remember. I just had to adjust that because I was getting, you know, just sore in there. And so sometimes you have the height of, you know, of your laptop screen, you know, you're looking down, you know, you're looking up, are your feet on the ground? And then, core strength again. you know.
I think like core strength will be like one thing that I'll want to start working on at the gym or with a trainer straight away, because I know in terms of actually trying to build my upper arm strength, I can't really do it well until I get my shoulder to calm down, because otherwise I do it in the wrong form, sort of like I'll do it with my shoulders scrunched up at my ear and stuff. But my thing is, my physio, and I know this is, I have to constantly change my height in my chair, because when I'm low, I'll put my head back, which is good, but then I'll lift my shoulders up to use the keyboard. So then I have to put my chair up higher after an hour so I can use the keyboard with my shoulders down. And then I have to I must look like an idiot in my office because I'm constantly going up and down like a kid on my chair. So it's sort of just like all these small things that we're trying to.
100%, and that's great. You know, don't give up. Keep searching. You know, and keep pushing, because there is a solution there.
Yeah.
But you know, say it might be an idea again to don't go to any of these damn chiros that just click, see you later, come back, I need to see you 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Again, that's a massive alarm bells to me. So look for these, you know, people that have worked with again, sporting people that have worked with some of your top NRL teams and AFL teams and all those ones that are working up at that level with elite athletes.
Yeah.
Because, you know, those professional sports people, they can't afford to have, you know, some cowboy work on them.
Yeah.
So, you know, have a look at that. And I would even look at just get a chiro to have a look, because, you know, you could have a scoliosis, or you just could have a vertebrae out. You can actually have a rib out. That can cause all these types of things, and you know, just pinching on a nerve and compressing, you know, say a disc out in your back somewhere, or your neck. Just you know, I'd be having a look into that.
Okay, I will. Yeah.
Just keep pushing, and you know, don't give up. Like you said, you know, you're just like, you got slack on it. There's a solution. There is a solution. Yeah. And definitely, get into that core training. Things like start with your planking. You can do planking at home. You know, some basic sit-ups, some reverse crunches. You know, you don't even need, you know, your gym, but get down there. Then say once you advance further and get a bit of strength up, you know, side planks, all those you can start, you know, getting some good core work in there. Yeah,
I will. Cool. Thank you.
Perfect.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Kaz. And I'm sitting in my chair properly fitted. So your seat position isn't just about being in the car. Fantastic. And I think definitely, I know the word that comes out of tonight for me, just listening to everyone's stories, is, you know, as race chicks, we're tenacious. And I think as women, like, we've all just kept going and worked through things. So, yeah, tenacious. Oh, good job. All right. Well, I will. I'll send everyone a copy of this, or the link to YouTube once. I'll pop it on YouTube so you can listen to it again. And yes, definitely have a listen to Kaz's nutrition live Q&A as well, if you haven't watched that one as well, which is also on our YouTube channel. Which will work very well to go with this one. All right, well, thanks everyone. Kaz is in the group, so if you have any questions, feel free to pop a question in there. And it's been awesome. Thank you so much. And
thank you, Kaz. Thank you, Rochelle.
Yeah, thank you both for putting it on.
You're welcome. Hopefully we'll get to all meet in person sometime. You know, if you're at any of the tracks or anything like that, I'm there normally with Matt Stone Racing. So come up and say hi.
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the night.
Thank you.
You too. Bye.
Bye.